Hi everyone, it's me at C Lefty Runs. I'm here to give you my 2022 Mount Charleston or Revel Canyon Mount Charleston Marathon update. So as you know, I was training for a sub 3:35. Did I make that goal? No, but I'm okay with it because I did PR. I ran a 1:37:11, which beat my breakthrough race I had in Big Bear. And I finished this race feeling as strong as you can when you finish a marathon. I remember at the end of Big Bear, I had to stop and walk the last 5K of that race. Maybe it was more than the 5K. I did stop and walk a few times, and every step I took, I was just like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? It's hot, and it was hot. So the fact that I finished this race feeling as strong as I did, and I never had to take walking grip breaks because I just couldn't handle it anymore, is really, to me, a huge accomplishment. I've never had that experience before in a marathon where I did not hit my personal wall. And they talk about hitting the wall, and that's personal for everybody. What is your wall? Is it slowing down at the end? Is it stopping at the end? Is it you having to negotiate with yourself constantly at the end? Is it you telling yourself you're a big loser at the end, that you're never doing this again? Why are you doing this? Whatever that wall is, for me, it's stopping and walking at the end and having to negotiate myself for every quarter mile, every step just to finish. I've been there before and it's not fun. So during this marathon, I kind of set out not wanting to do that, wanting to finish strong. I kept hearing stories about people who never hit the wall. And I was like, how is that possible? Does that even exist? I think I've talked about it here before. And for me, I never hit my wall in this race and I still PR'd. So super happy about the outcome of it. Let me give you the lowdown of it. So it was on a Saturday, which I appreciate because you still have kind of Sunday to relax and to kind of process everything. You're not back to work the next day. So I like that. I like that they're smaller races. I like that they take care of all of the logistics for you in terms of getting to the race. All you have to do is show up for the bus and they take care of all the rest. And I like that there's a lot of support. And then there's a whole Facebook group of people that just do these Revel runs. If you've never done a Revel run, if you want a PR and you want to qualify for Boston, I suggest you try it. A lot of people don't like downhill courses. They are faster, but there are some things that come with running a downhill course. I saw so many people pulled up alongside the course because their hamstrings blew out or their quads couldn't take it anymore. So it is a lot on your legs. I fortunately have been running consistently for many, many years. And although I don't really train in hills, I think that's one of the reasons why I can handle them. I am very sore today. Today's Monday. I ran the race on Saturday. Getting up and down my stairs in my house is very, very challenging. But other than that, I feel good and I got my PR. So the expo, my husband and I flew into Vegas on Friday. We flew out of Long Beach Airport, which if you've never flown out of Long Beach, it's amazing. We got to Vegas around 7:30. We rented a car. Glad I did. Didn't want to walk around all day Friday trying to go eat and things like that because I didn't want to tire myself out for the race. Friday morning, we did a 3-mile shakeout run. He didn't run it with me, but we did 3-mile shakeout. We went to Henderson for breakfast, hash a go-go, which was great. I had a chocolate chip pancake, which I would never order otherwise, but I'm like, I'm running a marathon around, I'm gonna eat this chocolate chip pancake, and I did, and it was fantastic. After that, we went to the expo and heard Coach Paul, who trains coaches for the Revel races, and he runs all of them too. He gave a course breakdown. So I'll give a slight breakdown to you. The first mile was uphill. But again, you're just warming up, so it's not a big deal. Mile 4, there's another hill like into a parking lot that curves around. In my opinion, not a big deal. The mile 1 hill, not a big deal. That hill, not a big deal. Mile 13, there's a pretty significant hill. Again, they always look worse than they feel. So I kind of try not to look at them and I just run up them. wasn't too bad. Mile 21 to the finish, it's kind of like rolling. And then at mile 24, there's another hill, not as big as the one at the half. But at mile 24, it can feel like Everest. But for me, it wasn't bad. So anyway, those are the hills from the halfway point to, or yeah, from mile 5 to the half, it's a swift downhill. You deal with that incline at the half, and then you're swift down again to 21. And then 21 levels out, maybe some elevation gain, not a lot. But that's when I slowed, because your legs are just used, they're going fast downhill. And then all of a sudden you're going flat, but anything that's not downhill feels uphill, even if it's flat, because your legs have to change what they're doing, and that is taxing. So, anyway, so I listened to Coach Paul at the expo. The most important takeaway for me was he said, keep your effort level at a 7. What 7 is going to give you for the first 21 miles is different than what it's going to give you from 21 to 26. As long as you keep it at a 7, you'll be fine. So if your 7 at miles 1 to 21 is giving you 7 minute and 30 second or 7:30 miles, and then from 21 to 26 it gives you 9:30, just accept it, because it gets harder at the end. So I really liked that philosophy, that level 7 philosophy. A lot of people say, oh, don't bake time. Well, yeah, don't bake time if you're running a flat course. But if you're running a course that's downhill at the beginning and not at the end, it's really challenging to negative split that. It's not a course designed to negative split. Big Bear is. Big Bear is a course that's designed to negative split. This one is not. So, you have to take that in consideration. You have to know the course to determine, am I going to try to negative split this or not? So my strategy was not to negative split this course, and I didn't by any means. So I stayed at the host hotel, the Platinum Hotel, which was great. It had a big, huge bathtub, huge spa-like bathtub. It was off the strip, which was fine because I'm not in Vegas to like be cute, right? Or to like go do different things. I'm there to run a race. So it was off the strip, which was nice. It was like a 1-bedroom apartment. I had my own kitchen. And that bathtub came in handy at the end of the race. I got Epsom salts from Target and I was ready to rock after the end of the race. So Saturday morning, woke up at 2:30, had my Kodiak cake, some coffee, and got ready. Got on the bus at 3:30. On the bus, I had some water with Noon. Got to the top, the start of Charleston around 4:30. Just try to stay warm from 4:30 to the start. So I don't know. I didn't check the temperature when I got to the top because I'm like, what's the point? I'm in my clothes. There's nothing I can do to change it. It's just going to make me feel colder than what it is. I would guess it was about 35 degrees. Now, remember, maybe you don't remember, Vegas was projected to be 88 degrees that day. So I was like, great, another hot finish. So I did wear shorts. I wore a singlet. I had gloves with hand warmers, and then I had sleeves that I took off. So at the top, I hung out my Patagonia jacket and some pants. None of them were throwaway because I just tossed them in my grab bag before I start. And that grab bag is what I pick up at the end of the race. One thing I did this time, which I forgot to do in Big Bear, was I also put sandals in that bag this time. So at the end of the race, when I got my grab bag, I could take my shoes off right away. And that really comes in handy later on. So the race started at 6 o'clock and it was cold. That first mile, like I said, was uphill. I'm trying to give you my splits, was uphill, but I was okay with it because it's just a warm-up mile. So I took a gel every 4 miles. I alternated between Honey Stinger and Huma because the Huma has double electrolytes and caffeine. So I would go between those two. I like the way the honey gold tastes better. So that was my strategy every 4 miles. So I had 6 gels with me. So I was like, just get through the gels. Just get through. I was counting down gels. That's what I was doing. So mile 1 was an 8:59. Mile 2 was a 7:46. So remember, my goal pace for a sub 3:35 was supposed to be 8:10. So I'm doing well. I mean, mile 3, 7:42. Mile 4, 7:28. Mile 5, 7:55. Mile 6, 8:02. There was a slight hill between miles 4 and 5. And then at the first aid station, the poor guy, the poor volunteer, it was just him. He was trying to give out water. People were like, I need water. He's trying to get the cups out. So that took a little longer, but no big deal. Like, never get mad at the volunteers. I was like, whatever, whenever you get the water, it's fine. Mile 7, 7:11. Mile 8, 7:14. And after that point, the aid stations were well equipped and they had noon and water at all stations. Mile 9, 7:13. I'm kind of killing it here. Mile 10, 7:52. Mile 11, 7:38. Mile 12, 7:58. Mile 13, 7:53. There was a slight hill at mile 13, 12 to 13. Mile 14, 7:52, still killing it. Mile 15, 7:47. Mile 16, 8:08. So this is the point where I'm like, all right, what's going to be your strategy moving forward? Just hang on, just try not to stop and keep going. I don't know if I told you, for the first 8 miles of the race, I was trying to figure out ways to like DQ. Is it DQ? Not DQ. Anyway, disqualify myself. What is it? NF, not finish. DNF, did not finish, right? I was like, you can walk off. Just go get a ride with that car right there. They'll take you to the start. Why are you doing this? Da, 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 da. And that was early on. Like, that's not supposed to start till the end. So I was like, crud, I'm already having these talks with myself at mile 8. And it wasn't because it was hard. I felt great. You know, I was just like kind of not in the mood to do it that day. I don't know how to explain it. Because, you know, you just know, like, man, this is a long way. This is a long way to run. Anyway, mile 16, 8:08. Mile 17, 8:03. Mile 18, 8:38. So I'm still, until mile 18, under pace the whole way. Mile 19, 8:05. Mile 20, 8:48. Mile 21, 8:17. And this is when I don't want to say the wheels start to fall off, because again, they don't fall off because I'm not walking. I'm not negotiating every step. In my mind, I'm like, okay, I only have 6 miles. But what I did transition from, because I knew the last 10K was going to be hard. And that's what Coach Paul had said. The last 10K of this race is really where the marathon is at. And if you can hang on, you'll do fairly well. But if you fall off the rails, if you don't rein it in, if you don't recognize how successful the first part of the race is, and you fall deeply in that last 10K, that's where you could lose it. So I kind of had that going through my head, and I was like, I can finish this race strong. And if I just keep going from gel to gel. So at mile 20, I took gel number 5. I was like, you only got 1 more gel left. You can do it. Just hang on to the next gel. Mile 22, 9:03. And the course terrain starts to change here. It flattens out. And there's, you know, I don't think there's a lot of elevation gain, but it feels like it because your legs have been going down for so long. So when it flattens out, it feels like Everest, even though it's not. But that's how your legs interpreted it. Because if you're going down and then you go flat, it's a hill to your legs. Your legs are like, we're going up this huge hill. 23 was a 9:32. And I'm kind of upset at myself here because mile 24, I lost 2 minutes. My mile 24 was 11:02. But I'm not going to be too upset about it. There's just no point at this, that I can't change it. But I stopped at the aid station before this hill. And I did walk a little bit because I wanted to kind of gather my energy. And then I saw my husband, because there's no spectators on the course. This was like the first one. And I wasn't sure if I knew he was going to be at the finish, but I wasn't sure if he was going to spectate. He's watched every marathon I've ever ran except for Big Bear, where I had my breakthrough race. And he was really bummed he wasn't there for that. So I saw him at mile 24 and he made a little sign for me. It was really sweet. So I had to like, hey, and I pulled over, I gave him a kiss. And yeah, so maybe I lost a minute and a half on that. I don't know, who cares? It was worth it. I saw my husband. So whatever. Mile 25, 9:32. Mile 26, 9:15. So yeah, my pace dramatically slowed at the end, as it always does, the last of the race, but I hung in there. I felt really strong. When I finished, he even said, wow, you looked the best on that race than I've ever seen you, because he's seen me at all my other ones. And so he's looked like, you look good, you look strong. So when I finished, it's really weird how the finish is set up, because you see it and you're like, there it is, right? That's the finish. It's right there. But you can't really see how people are approaching it. So you see it. And as you start to get closer to it, the way that you thought the road was going to go to the finish, you don't see people going that way. So you're like, well, how do I get to the finish? And this is the really messed up part, that I don't know, it's maybe 0.2 of a mile, right? Because mentally you think you're running to the finish, and you turn this corner and you think the finish is there, and it is. But to get there, you have to run past the finish and make a U-turn up this slight hill. And then you run down a bit into the finish. So mentally you're like, oh my gosh, I thought I was done, and I still have about a quarter mile left. But so those were my times according to my Garmin. My official finish time, again, was 3:37:11. My Garmin watch, pretty accurate, 3:37:31 is what it had, but I started it early, and I also stopped it after I had finished a couple seconds. So I was kind of hoping I'd be in the 3:36-ish range. There was no clocks at the end, no announcers. The electricity, I guess, went out, or they were having trouble with it. I don't know, but the end, it was kind of lackluster for about 5 or 10 minutes. Of course, that was the time that I finished. And then I heard they got the announcers back and everything. So anyway, my husband was at the finish. He filmed the finish, and where, you think you're looking badass, right? You're like, and then you look at the video footage and you're like, it looks like you're walking, so, but I wasn't walking. I felt like I was hustling. So yeah, I'm really happy with the outcome. I kind of think I'm done chasing PRs for a while. I'll be 45 next year. So maybe, and it's still fun to chase things. So maybe at 45 to 50, I'll start a new time window, and I'll compete with myself because I can't you can't keep competing with your old self, right? As you age, it's just not realistic. I have Mountains to Beach coming up at the end of May, which is kind of a redemption race for me, because I did it before and it was bad. And I had coaching and it was a bad experience. And I kind of showed up the first time around that race feeling defeated. But I don't know if I have the energy right now to really think about racing it or training to race it. So I haven't figured out how I'm going to approach that race yet, if I'm going to do it for fun, or if I'm going to race it, or maybe do something in between. I'm going to go, those speed workouts I did on Tuesday, those are mentally hard for me because it's after work. It was 11 miles. So I think in the interim between these two, I'm just going to go do my local track club, Runners High, and I'll do the Tuesday night track workouts with them. And even though it won't be like 11 miles or whatever, I'll still be getting some speed work in. And I think Luke Humphrey has a back-to-back race plan that I'll check out. So I'm not sure about my strategy for that, but great race, highly recommend it. Highly recommend any of the Revel races. Like I said, if you're looking to qualify or BQ. Also, they're super scenic, and all the logistics are taken care of. Lots of support. There's a Revelers Facebook group where people chat about them all the time. So they're just really fun. I think I'm going to do the Big Bear half in November. Seems like a fun half. Hopefully it's not brutally hot again. And in terms of this channel, maybe I'll be back for Boston. I don't know. But I do document my runs on See Lefty Run on Instagram. So you can check me out there. But thank you for listening and thank you for following, the 6 of you that have. And I hope this was helpful. Like I said, when I was trying to PR and BQ, I couldn't really figure out how people were doing it and what they were doing. So that's why I wanted to share it. And now that I'm like more in tune with Instagram and the whole Insta runner thing, I see that a lot of people do share, but it's still not that specific. Like, what are their specific workouts? What are the plans that they're using? What are they eating? And I know that everyone is different, but it is nice to know what people who are having success in the running world, what that looks like for them. So this is what it looks like for me. Anyway, happy running, and we'll see where the journey is ahead. I don't know, but I appreciate you watching and I hope it was helpful. Have a great next race and happy running to you. Bye.